Hi, happy belated April Fool's Day. This video is going up a bit late on April 1st, so by the time most of you see it, it will have been well gone. But in the spirit of the day in which this video is being recorded on, I wanted to talk about the entry this year that best fits the description of being a troll act. It's not in the same way of other acts that we've seen in the past at Eurovision, but this one is certainly like the trolliest of 2023. Back in February, a highly controversial satirical punk rock group by the name of Let 3 won the right to represent Croatia with this. Immediately, it became one of those entries that everybody has an opinion about and brings up a certain argument about Eurovision's relationship with politics. I'm sure you can pick up on some of the reasons why just by looking at it, but as you would expect, one of the main focuses has actually been what's contained in the lyrics. Now, the band hasn't committed to any one interpretation of the song, but for the sake of providing context, here's like a brief overview of some of what has been observed by other people. The lyrics reference a few things that are thought to be pointing directly at, specifically, Mama bought herself a tractor. The tractor is likely a reference to Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko, who gifted a tractor to for his 70th birthday. It's ironic, of course, because Belarus as a country receives money from, which essentially means that paid for the gift for himself. Mama is repeated a lot throughout the song. Mama kissed the moron, Mama I'm going to play, Mama I'm going to war. This is thought to be referring to the personification of, aka, but it could also work on another level, making sound like a child. And then he's basically referred to as a psychopath several times throughout the song. Now, when confronted with this interpretation of the song, the band has argued that it's not supposed to be about any one individual, and it's supposed to be mocking dictators in general. Let's just say that your mileage may vary on this one. And there have been other interpretations and references that have been observed by other people, but I don't want to get too bogged down in that without getting to the more pressing issue, if you ask me. Whenever we see an entry with political overtones, big ones or small ones, without fail, there are always people who say this should not be allowed. Eurovision is a non-political event, and it says it right there in the rules. Without getting too deep into the history of this point of view, it has been around in the contest since the very early days, and to a degree it makes sense because it is a multinational contest that involves countries with very different histories, different issues, and different definitions of human rights. But there are some problems with defining all music that has political themes in the same way. Firstly, one piece of music can have a vastly different intention to others. Secondly, it ignores some of the fundamental reasons for why the contest exists in the first place. Ever since its inception, Eurovision has always represented a system of values, and some of them are also outlined in the rules, just above the part where it talks about politicizing the contest. In addition, the contest part of the Eurovision Song Contest is one massive cross-border display of democracy. I mean, it might be an overly complicated one that's certainly not perfect and not immune to being manipulated, but if anything, that just makes it more real, right? What a time to be alive. Anyway, for that reason, Croatia can send a song that's mocking dictators, and Belarus can't send a song that's mocking pro-democracy demonstrations, like they tried to 2 years ago. That was very obviously against what Eurovision stands for, and this is certainly a more provocative entry than what we're used to, but is arguably still in line with those values. Now, politics aside, there are other reasons for this song to be polarizing. For some people, this is not music, it's just noise, and it's presented in a fairly crass way that is somewhat reminiscent of the really messy entries that we saw from the 2000s. For me, I genuinely like this as a piece of music. It's not my favorite song by any means, and there's certain qualities of it that I don't really like the crassness of it. But I don't feel as if it was made carelessly or without any consideration to the music. In addition to having this like military marching band sound to it and having a choir that helps it feel very grand and almost like a parody of a battle hymn, there's also this really chaotic breakdown, which to me just sounds really cool. And I'm not alone either. This song is gaining traction. And some people might have more superficial reasons for liking the song. They might just like that it's chaotic, or just simply for the political reasons. But this is a real punk rock song, and the fact that it's even at Eurovision is a sign that the contest is evolving. This would have been unthinkable in the 1970s, for example, when punk rock was in its heyday, because the way that Eurovision's values were expressed through the music was with songs that were wholesome and softer and aiming to please. And as an example, you could use all those words to describe the Irish entry for this year. And you want to take a guess as to which song is polling higher before the show? Well, it's not the one that's trying to make you feel warm and fuzzy, I'll tell you that. We'll see if that's actually reflected in the score, because it could be the other way around, who knows. But I think what we can say safely about what Croatia is doing successfully this year is that they're giving you a performance that you're not going to forget, and you're not going to feel so-so about. You'll either like it or you won't. I like it. It makes me feel okay about feeling anger about what's going on in the world right now, and I don't think I've actually had that from a Eurovision song before. I'm curious to know how this song makes you feel, so let me know in the comments. I'm sure that you guys are going to be just as polarized as everyone else is, but who knows, maybe there is someone out there who's like, yeah, it's a delightful little tune you got there, Croatia. I don't know if anybody actually talks like that, but if you like my nonsense, be sure to subscribe, because who knows what else we're going to be unearthing in these crazy Eurovision 2023 entries. Thank you so much for watching, and nonsense or not, I hope to see you next time. Stew!